It is so important in the last decade or so of my life, grappling with the simple truth, and that truth is that everyone is a leader. Now, why does it matter? Why does it matter to know that everyone's a leader?
So, I think this is critical because the corollary is the problem. Is when anybody thinks that they are not a leader, it means that they are not stepping up to owning the influence that they have on everybody around them.
Exactly. I think that if you do not recognize that everyone is a leader, you are, in a sense, putting yourself in the victim role and blaming everybody else. Because if you don't think of yourself as a leader of your own life, even of having influence on yourself, of taking into account that you do lead your peers, you lead everybody, then you're kind of lying to yourself about what's going on.
Now, of course, some people are going to be more influential than other people. Like some people have more leadership than others, but every single person is leading to a certain degree. And I think another piece to that is the person who is second is quite often the person that decides whether something goes one way or another. You know what I mean? Like,
so sometimes you can be a leader even if you seem to be number two on paper.
Yeah.
Even if you play the card that actually you're in charge here, but I'm going to find another way to get my way.
The leader cannot lead unless they have minions. And the minions themselves are leaders by giving over themselves to the leader. No matter where you are in that pecking order of, alpha all the way down to omega, you, by your actions and by what you're doing, are influencing the social fabric around you. So you are leading.
So if we look at the movie Minions,
okay,
which I need to bring into this, my 12-year-old self needs to, even though that came out maybe a couple of years ago, but we would see that there's this journey about a bunch of minions looking for some bad guy to be minions to.
Right. Yeah.
And in reality, they have a ton of power in who they choose to follow, how they choose to organize. So everyone is a leader because everyone influences others. If you're a single person, unless you live in Antarctica alone in a box, you are influencing somebody. And even if you don't want to be leading others, you will be the most don't want to affect other people person, and you will look back and see how you've affected people with that attitude. You will influence others.
Yeah.
You just will.
Yeah.
Peers, if you're a mom, if you're a dad, if you're single, because everyone influences and because everything is interconnected.
I think we make the mistake of not realizing how much we're influencing people around us, kind of like the flight of the starlings. Have you ever seen starlings flying together? Very different than the flight of, say, geese. Geese, they've got...
When you say starlings, you mean pretty girls who move to LA to try to get in the motion pictures.
I mean the actual bird starlings.
Oh, okay.
Right? If you see...
So that's a bird, see?
It's a bird, yeah.
Shows you the circles we run in.
If you watch them in flight, just Google it sometimes, watch on YouTube, the flight of starlings. There will be thousands of birds that swoop and swarm together in a large flock that seemingly have no direction, no leaders, nothing. It just one decides to turn and 1,000 follow. But there is a form to it. It's quite fascinating to watch. Whereas with geese, obviously there is a direction and there's one or two that are out in front. But if you've ever watched geese, quite often a few will break off and then half the flock will join them. And anybody can lead the flock.
Sounds like a little bit more like public skate, less like synchronized swimming.
The point of this is that the main thought, everybody has leadership, and the worst thing to do is to slough that off and say, I'm not a leader, therefore I don't have to pay attention to making my leadership any better than what it is.
Yes, a lot of people would say, I'm not a leader. You guys do a show, LeaderFM. That's not for me. accept, when we look at leadership stuff, let's look at some leadership skills that we work on. Let's look at giving feedback, receiving feedback, decision-making,
Right.
strategy. All those things would help you as a dad a lot.
Yep. Help you as a
whole
dad. Help you when a police officer pulls you over. Helps you when you have to talk to the principal. Vice versa. If you're talking to people who are under you, absolutely.
It sounds very simple, but I think it goes against the trend where we like to divide things up and think that leadership is something for business guys or guys who want to think they're better than other people. Leadership is essentially about taking responsibility, and it really is for everyone. And it is so important that we are able to embrace this wealth of knowledge, this big pile of learning that's been going on, maybe in the business sector, sometimes in organizational development, sometimes in government or in clergy of different kinds. There's been a lot of leadership lessons throughout history, because it begins right on from the beginning of the first group of people that said, "Hey, can I go look for berries with you?"
Yeah, right from like our evolutionary beginnings, leadership was a big part of what happened socially. And arguably, those people who had bad leadership didn't survive. So that's why I think also it's part of our evolutionary past that we rise up against bad leadership. Because...
And who you decide to follow, so being a follower and how you follow is a form of leadership.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
you influence other people.
Yeah.
That's the great power we have. And it's easy to kind of say the world's bad because of these bosses or these people in charge or whoever has got control of some form of some kind, and to pretend that we are hapless victims and we can't do anything about it. And I think if we all go home and we can stop for a moment and think about a couple of the ways that we influence people, maybe if you stop and you think, what are some ways that I'm leading even my peers or even the person above me, the person I report to? How am I leading my boss?
I think if we conceptualize it as in a swimming pool where everybody's there and easily tilted, okay? So a swimming pool, and we're all in boats that can easily flip over, like really tippy canoes. And anything you do causes waves that affect everybody else around you, right? Every single person in the pool is making waves. Same in our life. Everything you do affects the other people around you. It has ripples and waves and impact. So everybody needs to be responsible for how they are impacting the other people around them. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces that's missing, is that we do not take responsibility for the affect we have on other people around us. Because we make the mistake of saying, I'm not a leader, it's their fault. It's always their fault, not mine.
I know that one time in school, I was lamenting to myself about how I felt that my friends weren't talking about substantial enough stuff. Like,
Okay.
I think in particular, I was like, how come we never share, even with my closest friends, we don't share what we're struggling with, what we're trying to overcome? And then I thought, maybe we would talk about it if I just talked about it. Because at first I was like spent like an hour dwelling and blaming my friends for being people of little consequence. And then I kind of decided if I go to any of those friends and just start sharing what I'm struggling with, what I hope to grow in, maybe they would join in. And I did that, and they totally joined in. And next thing you know, we're talking about it.
Yeah, that's that's a great psychometric test you can do on that is one that looks at how much you want to be included and how much you express to other people that you want to be included. And so a big part of that is, if there was a party, would you want to be invited? Would you be upset if you weren't invited? Would you go? And it's interesting because some people would desperately want to be invited, but would not be interested in going. And they look to other people to invite them. And so too often I think we make the mistake of expecting other people to be the initiators and getting upset that other people aren't initiating, when we can step up and take responsibility for that ourselves. We can be the ones to make a party and do the inviting and have the people that we want at it.
Sounds like a good test. I wish they would have involved me in making it.
Yeah, we had the test and we knew you were interested, but we all decided together we weren't going to have Tony because you know why. We all know.
Let me know about that. So we lead. It's critical for us then to decide to grow in leadership.
Bingo.
No matter who we are, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because I think leadership is a skill, an art, and if we are not being mindful and paying attention to how we're doing it, we are just drifting along, and there's a good chance that the wake we leave behind is upsetting other people's boats, and we don't even know it.
Yeah, it's something that for sure, I promise you, will change your life, and will have, and any time spent in it, even of bad leadership materials you might spend time in, even the cheesiest thing you can find, will dramatically improve your life for yourself and for others. Those you care about, your boss, others.